I saw this video on my feed from Bellular. That basically this is apparently a news article that is calling gaming a pandemic. So I'm sure that all of the arguments brought about in this article that I actually wanted to go and read the actual article over on the website, but the website's behind a paywall, so we're not going to do that. So instead, we're going to listen to the beautiful voice, the beautiful Irish voice. I can't do an Irish accent. I feel really bad. I'm sorry. But the Irish voice of Bellular and see what's happening. Gaming is the next pandemic, according to the Telegraph. I'm
Everyone,
sure
welcome back to the news where the media have done it again. And what's quite funny is not to say that the Telegraph have kind of reposted something from Chinese state media, but at least part of it they have. Because the headline they ran with is gaming spiritual opium for teenagers? And if you just watched the video that we did about the origin of that, the situation that went on in China rather recently, and the cultural significance of calling it specifically spiritual opium, you'll know that that's like pretty big. And the Telegraph going in this angle is certainly interesting. It's one way to do it.
So listen, Telegraph, here's what you guys need to do, okay? When you're... Oh, I got it? Oh, yeah. When you're like, right? Make sure to cradle him, because that'll make it go faster.
So yes, they published an article warning that the normalization of the use of screens is potentially harmful to teenage brains. So to do some quotes, and I think the very important one, just in case you weren't sure where this came from, "It will surely never happen again, but every parent must have been nodding in agreement with Chinese state media yesterday." Cool. There is just that bit of me that sort of thinks if this is the position you're in, then interesting. To go on, though, for some other quotes. "It's time all of us woke up to the opioid possibility of gaming before teenage screen addiction becomes another global pandemic."
I believe there were studies made that I wish I was more organized with the information that I consume. But I believe I saw a study that actually but actually proved that on average, people that gamed, but I'm talking about gamed actual video games, not mobile trash. People that gamed actual video games like Zelda, Mario, that kind of stuff, were on average more intelligent than people that didn't game. I'm not talking by a lot, but like on average, they had better problem solving skills. And God, I wish I had that article, but I'm pretty sure I've seen that before. So yes, it's a real problem. It's a global pandemic.
Another one. "Families began to share their TVs and homes with PlayStations and Wiis, still sold as a fun group experience. Yet, by the turn of the 21st century, suddenly, games could be played anywhere and any time, and we parents enabled it." Whew. Bloody hell. The implication appears to be that online gaming has become this seedy retreat, a kid sneaking off to his bedroom to get some late night.
See, that's actually bad, man. Late night Fortnite or Apex? No. None of that. Not in my household. If my kid goes to his room and he goes like, "Dad, I'm going to play some Monster Hunter," and I'm like, "You go right ahead, son." If he tells me, "Dad, I'm going to play some Fortnite," I'll like smack him in his face till he's blue, and "You going to play what? You going to play what?" I'm sorry, Dad, I'll play some Dark Souls." Good. Goddamn right, you'll play some Dark Souls. Probably smack you across the face.
Fortnite. Some late night. Apex. In. Good God. I remember sneaking off to my bedroom to play some 3 a.m. RuneScape. Absolute plight in society it was. Also, in the margin of the piece, it brings up the health effects, including Gamer's thumb. Gamer's thumb. The pandemic sweeping the nation.
The fuck is gamer's thumb?
Short-sightedness. Disturbed sleep. Obesity. Posture issues. And to all these, I would say, yeah, those things are all issues. They're also issues if you work at a desk on a computer, and that's...
You know, when I went to get glasses, this was 23 years ago, I think, because I was 16. So yeah, about 23 years ago. When I first got my glasses, because my mom would always tell me, you can't see right because you're playing them video games too much. My parents would always like fucking hassle me because I wanted to play video games, right? So they were always because when I started, developing short-sightedness, they were just like, it's because of those video games, of course. And she actually went with me to the eye doctor, and she started going off like, yeah, it's because he watches too much television. He plays too many video games. And the eye doctor's just like, nah, it's genetics. And my mom's like, no. You don't understand. He spends way too much time in front of screens. And the eye doctor's, yeah, it's fine. It's not a problem. That's not why he's developed short-sightedness at all. And I was just like, there you go, Mom. There you go. Cell phone, Mom. There you go.
It's a lot of the economy these days. So guess what? You should be teaching your kids how to use things responsibly and correctly.
Imagine teaching your imagine actually teaching your kids, imposing limits on your imagine actually being a fucking parent. Imagine. Oh God.
Have you been looking at a screen? Guess what? You should be teaching your kids how to use things responsibly and correctly. Things such as saying, have you been looking at a screen for an hour straight? Well, how about you look at something out the window, just for a bit to help your eye muscles relax? Or posture. Hey, how about you put your screen in a good position? How about, you get your kids a good chair, one that supports their back correctly? Lots of little things like this, which we should be educating people, because not only will they help them get out of things like obesity, bad posture, disturbed sleep, gamer's thumb, and short-sightedness in the context of gaming, it'll also help them generally in life. So, seems like we're kind of missing the point if we're just saying that this is a problem caused by gaming, when in reality it's a problem that we just face because of friggin' everything. And then it moves on to one specific subject. Abby Silver, crime thriller, author, and mother of a gamer.
Oh no.
God help her. TLDR, her teenage son had a gaming addiction, which resulted in severe family issues, to the point where she considers Fortnite an unregulated drug.
Fortnite is an unregulated drug. I agree. Please continue.
And if she thinks that, then I think, I consider it to be a little bit thick. Because I'll tell you this, whenever people see something that is, an issue like this, and their first thing is, oh, we have to solve this by force. I'm like, okay, cool. You're clearly not interested in thinking about this deeply. You're just going in with the hammer. But yes, she claims that the games industry is unregulated. The time spent gaming isn't regulated. There are regulatory bodies. Now, yeah,
the time spent gaming should be regulated by the goddamn parents. What are you talking about? Oh, I can't control how much my child plays video games. Dude, my dad never had a problem with that. It's like, oh, you're playing too much fucking video games? He would just straight up cut off the energy to my room. Boom, done. Problem solved. My parents never had a problem with this. Our son's spending too much time playing video games. Tell you what, I'm going to cut power to his room. There. Now he's not playing video games anymore. Now he's furiously masturbating under the bed. There you go.
To say that the games industry is unregulated is a fucking stupid and ignorant statement that has... it's just not true.
Very much.
Literally not true. It's simple as that, right? It's not true. Now, yes, time spent gaming is not regulated, but time spent on the television isn't regulated. And I'm fairly sure we live in a society here where we don't believe that those things should be regulated by the state. Because if you're going to start regulating how much time children can spend playing video games, I mean, what, is that going to be a per game rule? Oh no, now my kid, they're going to play 2 hours of Fortnite, then they're going to play 2 hours of Apex. Okay, cool. So how about we try to think of some implementation
Oh my
on
God.
a time spent gaming regulation? Because it's not just per game parental controls, which, by the way, Abby, actually exist. It's not just that. You need a way to tie this back to your child's identity and then a way to track them across all of the gaming that they do. So that's what you're really asking for.
See, now it makes more sense that this is somehow tied to a Chinese article. Now it makes perfect sense. Yes, exactly. That's exactly what we want. Yes, more control over our children by the state. Yes, very much. Yes. I too enjoy when my government tells me exactly what I should watch, what is approved for me to watch. I mean, I even love it when when stuff gets censored. I'm a big supporter of censorship. I love it. Yes, thank you. More of this.
If you hold this position. But, maybe you're a crime thriller author and you don't actually know about tech. You don't know how something like this would be implemented. And yeah, sure, you can maybe make a case to a bunch of stupid politicians who don't understand things either. But I think anybody who knows how things actually operate, how things actually get implemented, kind of knows what's up
The
here.
internet is a series of
to move on to some other
tubes.
things, though. Right, so this is about Aaron, her son, Fortnite. Aaron seemed obsessed with the addictive dopamine-releasing game. Fortnite crawls into your eye, gets up into your brain, and just like hits that dopamine button. Yeah, it does, because it's actually by all accounts, a pretty fun and well-made game. Now, you actually have a role as a parent. I'll just keep on going because I think what she says is so ridiculous. I was shocked that there was something out there unregulated and freely available to our kids, which was considered highly dangerous, but nobody was doing anything about it. It was like someone was coming into my son's bedroom at night and injecting him with an addictive drug. Well, Abby, I hope that if somebody did come into your house at night and inject your son with a addictive drug, then you'd do more about it than you seem to have done this time. And I get it's probably caused family issues. I imagine there has been big arguments and problems at the Silver household, but fundamentally, if you're saying that, then you clearly don't understand what's going on or how to deal with the situation. And maybe that's why it seems like Abby is going for calling for regulation and stuff like that, when in reality, this is a bottom-up issue. This is an issue that is a fundamental societal principle. There will always be things that are engaging that capture people's attention. We, as a society that includes parents, have got to be able to, from a bottom-up way that does not involve government regulation,
educate our
deal with
kids.
issues like this. Because that's the only way we're going to find a long-term and lasting solution. I think you have rather blunt thinkers try to come up with solutions like this.
Oh my God.
To continue. Although a significant bank of research links high levels of online gaming with depression, social anxiety, suicidal tendencies, and difficulties in holding down relationships, they are not joined up and rarely supported by public health initiatives.
And let me explain something right now. Okay? The high levels of online gaming in these particular situations, they are not the cause of the suicidal tendencies, the difficulties, and all of that stuff. It is actually the other way around. The suicidal tendencies, social anxiety, and difficulties in holding down relationships, that is the cause that then links to the high levels of online gaming. It's not because of you playing a lot of online games, you become socially anxious with suicidal tendencies and difficulties and all of this stuff. No, 9 times out of 10, that is how you cope with your suicidal tendencies, social anxiety, and difficulties in holding down relationships. And it's like, there is no way that it is the other way around. I do not believe. There might be one or two cases, but in a majority of cases, it is completely the opposite. This is a coping mechanism. A lot of people use gaming as coping mechanisms. Here's a crazy idea. Why not give these irresponsible parents to the government instead of the kids? Yeah, these parents need to have some lessons in how to actually be parents. Maybe, just maybe, if your child or your teenage son is, being left alone with free access to the internet and, gaming consoles and whatever, maybe, just maybe, you need to keep tabs on your son. Like for instance, right now, my kid is going through an age where he loves his iPad. Guess what happens when I think he's been playing with his iPad for too long? Take a wild guess what happens. Take a wild guess. I pick up the iPad and I put it on a shelf where he can't reach it. It's literally that simple. And then I tell him, go play in your room or whatever, right? Go do something else. Stop playing with your iPad. You've been at your iPad for too long. Boom, done. It is literally that simple. It's literally that simple. And some parents go, oh, but my kid goes wild and crazy and starts kicking and throwing up a fit. So does mine. Guess what? You fucking ignore him. If he's just throwing up a fit and being all upset and being all mad, is I'm going to rage until I get my iPad. And I'm like, okay, go rage in your fucking room where I can't hear you. It's literally that simple. That is how you do parenting. Your kid can throw up all the fucking fits he can. You can't fucking let your kid break you. It's that simple. It is what it is. That's how my father took care of me. That's how my mother took care of me. It's I could throw all the fucking fits I wanted. Doesn't fucking matter. Didn't fucking matter. I'll be like, okay, but go be mad in your room so that I don't have to hear you being mad. You can go punch a wall or something and go fucking do whatever you want to do, but go be mad somewhere else so that I don't have to listen to your bullshit. It's that simple. It's what? And if he starts getting too annoying, then I'll be like, okay, so listen, you can either have this iPad back in a couple of hours when I'm done, or I can throw this fucking iPad out the window. Which one's it going to be? And guess which one he always picks? I'll throw this bitch out the window. I don't give a fuck. I'll throw this shit out the window. And then fuck your iPad. It is what it is. Window, he can go pick it up. No, I live on the second floor. I think he'd be picking up pieces by the time that thing would land on the ground. So, yeah.
There should be a public health response and
what?
For this to be seen as a public health crisis.
What?
There is nothing about regulating games manufacturers who need to be accountable, just as tobacco and gambling companies are.
Okay, wait. Are we sure that her name is Abby? Could it potentially be Abby Karen Silver? Maybe it's Abby Karen Silver. Maybe she's got one of those Karen haircuts. That might be what's actually happening here.
Yeah, because Fortnite is even in the same universe as tobacco.
Apparently it is, at least in how this person feels about it.
Yes, well, let's talk about her book. Because she's a crime thriller author, and is it almost like she has, you could say, there's two different ways of this going, that she is a grifter, that her book is basically about video games bad. That's one way. The other way is that actually her experience of games as a mother, she seemingly is not somebody who understands them much. Clearly not enough to be able to, equip the family with a way of responding with this, it seems.
Yeah. I will lead the fact that we're talking about her book with one little thing that I thought, this is why I thought this was important. Because obviously, it's her, it's not like we're looking at her separately from the context here. The book is brought up consistently in the article.
Yes.
And right at the very end, it says, Aaron has stopped gaming. It wasn't a result of my efforts. He went into sixth form, something made him decide to focus more on his work and spend less time gaming, which is good. And then it says, not everyone may be so fortunate. The Midas Game by Abby Silver, Lightning Books, $8.99, is published tomorrow.
Yeah. Follow the money. Follow the money. And actually, whenever the games companies and Yuki hits back against Abby, I also earn this article and stuff. I also have to say, follow the money.
Yeah.
Because, and you know, it's a little bit odd because I've been in rooms with Joe Twist in front of me giving a presentation. I've been at the Yuki booth as somebody there with a delegation. And yet I still would have criticisms of how Yuki really, I think, tries to downplay and obviously be cozied up to the big publishers, right? So, you know, always follow the money. It's a good thing to do. But yeah, for her book then, well, here's just a fun little, is this from the blurb?
Yeah, the synopsis has these 2 quotes.
Okay. Did he target her because of her anti-gaming views and the work she undertook to expose the dangers of playing online games? And, but just because
Create them with one click. Choose the theme. Monster Count.
because he makes a living killing people on screen doesn't mean he'd do it in real life.
Oh, here we go.
Or does it? Woo!
Oh,
Gaming
dude.
YouTuber go to murder someone.
Yep.
No, listen. It's this simple, okay? I've played Surgeon Simulator. Therefore, I'm now a certified surgeon. Okay? Anybody needs any procedures done? I can search you out real good. You need to maybe get your spleen removed or something. I can fix that. Seconds. Not even a problem. Okay? Hey, I've played SimCity. That makes me perfectly fit to run City Hall. Not even a problem. I can do totally just like manage a whole city. Not a problem. Yeah, sure. Need a brain transplant? Yeah, dude, I can fix that. You want to have like a monkey brain? I got a monkey brain lying around. That's good. Yeah, no problem. Dude, it's gonna all go back to the violence in video games, man. It's like, he's been playing them Fortnites too much. We all knew it was a power keg just waiting to explode and kill a bunch of people. Because he played that Fortnite and that Call of Duty. And so somebody plays like Diablo is like, I always knew he was a Satan worshiper. Oh my God, dude. I swear. This is like people with the smallest fucking brains in existence that are like, oh, video games have consequences in real life. Guess what? I play Gunlance in video games and in Monster Hunter. I've played a ton of Dark Souls. You know what I've never done in real life? I never picked up a fucking sword and just started hacking away at people. It's never, not even once. And I've been gaming for, since as long as I can remember. Probably since I was 7 years old, I've been gaming. I've been gaming since I was 7 years old. This was like 32. I've been gaming for 32 years. For 32 years, I've been gaming. And I've never ran anybody over. And I used to play Carmageddon. When I was a kid, I was obsessed with Carmageddon. Never, ever have I touched another human being with my car. Impressive. One would almost say, oh, I remember that little kid. He was playing Carmageddon all the time. I bet he grew up to be like someone that just does hit and runs all over the... Nope, never happened. Not even once. Barely even have car accidents. And I used to crash into the other cars in Carmageddon all the damn time because like the easiest way to actually finish a Carmageddon race was to ram everybody to death. That was like the easiest way of doing it. And it's like, these arguments are so fucking dumb. Like, according to these people, I should be running people over, mowing them down with machine guns, because I've played a lot of, well, not machine guns, maybe RPGs, because I played a lot of Quake, right? So I should be murdering people with RPGs repeatedly, mowing them down with my car. I should be hacking away at people with swords, and more recently, I should find some kind of a spear that shoots bullets, and then I would actually slam down on people and shoot a bunch of bullets at the same time. That's what I should be doing out there in real life, murdering people or murdering monsters. Like I should go out into the wilds and hunt a fucking grizzly bear with a fucking spear that shoots. That, because those are the types of games I play. hey man, I'm a paladin in fucking Final Fantasy 14. I should be going out there and, I don't know, just slashing anybody that's wearing like a black shirt or something, because they're clearly a part of the Garlean Empire. I mean, let's be real here. Jesus Christ, it's so fucking dumb, dude. These people that have these fucking arguments, I swear. You know that I once, before we had our first child, my wife went in to, I don't know what the name of the doctor is that like uses the ultrasound to check to make sure that the fetus everything's all right with the fetus. But there was this doctor, he was checking the fetus, and this doctor, I don't know if she realized that I made gaming videos for a living or whatever. She starts arguing with me about how, video games promote violence and how it has an influence in the minds of teenagers. And I was like, no, they don't. No, they fucking don't. And she was like, oh, but my nephew and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, nope, has nothing to do with video games. Sorry. There's actually articles that prove that has nothing to do with video games. I never fucking went there again. I told my wife, you're never going to see that person again in your fucking life. You better find yourself a different one. Because clearly this person's not too bright. They're fucked up in the head. They're clearly not thinking straight. And I want the person that is handling your health and the health of our baby to fucking think straight.
Because that's, I think, the premise of the book. That gaming YouTuber murder someone.
Yep, that's the the premise of the book is that it's called the Midas game, and it is that, which I mean, the Midas, Midas touch, Midas game doesn't make a lot of sense anyway.
It doesn't.
Maybe it's revealed in the book, but it is a local, I think he's an esports gamer and a gaming YouTuber who is under investigation for the murder of a local anti-online gaming psychiatrist who was trying to expose the dangers of online gaming. And the whole thing is, did he kill her? Did he not?
Self. Insert much. Perhaps insert the sister, which we have to get into too.
Yep.
But I think it just means that, like, look, Abby financially benefits from this whole situation, and this Telegraph article is, like, actively promoting her book, while also bringing up stuff from Chinese state media. It's
Bad look,
like I said, just
bit
remember to cradle the balls.
of a bad look, but here's the problem. We understand this situation well because we play games. We know the industry. If you're just somebody on a government committee, you're like, oh, it's the respected newspaper, The Telegraph. Oh, it's very, very serious. Maybe you're not going to have a good response to this.
Yep.
And the worst part is that all of these fucking old people in positions of power within the world that have no idea how technology works or have done any research into any of this bullshit, they'll actually read this article and they have the power to enact laws upon it, which is ridiculous, which is always the position that we find ourselves in, is these fucking old farts in positions of power that have no fucking clue over the stuff that they're legislating. Like, dude, this is why I always take the George Carlin approach. I'm just going to step back and just like look at it and laugh. Because that's all that's left to do. If you actually want to enjoy life, that's all that's left to do. You have to just fucking step back and watch the situation and laugh. There's nothing else to do.
Now, there is Abby's sister, perhaps the person that one of the victim characters in the Midas game is based off, because turns out that Abby Silver's older sister is Professor Naomi Feynman, a professor of psychiatry at the University of Hertfordshire. She chairs a global action group researching problematic use of the internet, which includes gambling, porn, cyberbullying, social media, and gaming. Now, I just want to be very clear. I think that Twitter is half ruining society. I think that all these algorithms and shit are totally fucking people up. And I really do think that there is a chance that almost impossible to solve societal rot that will end up with an utter human hellscape. I think it's a very real possibility. So I will just say, for what Professor Feynman covers, I think that is extremely important shit that we absolutely need to deal with well, and I do think that there's probably some role that the government has got to play but is a regulatory role as it comes to the Facebooks and the Twitters and all of that stuff. There probably is, given how those things are going to be in society. So I do want to make that clear. This is not just a situation of, oh, somebody's potentially going to say something bad about games and we like games, so screw them.
Oh, no, not
It's
at all.
specifically this whole thing, the Telegraph, is rather stupid, and we have to examine this as we talk about bias.
Yeah.
So this is all important stuff, but we can see how some biases would creep in via the sister story. Bias could also creep in via other directions, though. And right now it is a battle of bias versus considerable money in the industry.
It's complicated. It's a complex situation. There's loads of money in the industry. There's loads of money in fighting against the industry. There's loads of bias on the side of, people who just play games would, likely never see the issues that people can have with games and go, oh, it's games. It's, the human equivalent of works on my machine.
Yeah.
Where it's like, yeah, well, I don't have a problem with being addicted to video games. So, like, how dumb do you have to be addicted to games? And then the other side, which is this person who doesn't understand games at all, seeing, like, their child go through genuine suffering where, they may be running away from problems at school or problems at home via games. But then the problem is, people are looking at it from every way. They're looking at it from
games
a shallow
are usually
basis,
a coping
from an emotional
mechanism.
basis, not looking to the real core of it all. And then you've got loads of bias.
And like, I'll tell you guys what, if I look back to my own personal journey through life up until this point, I will say that gaming for me growing up was definitely a coping mechanism. And you want to know why? Because we moved 3 times. And so it's basically I had to remake a circle of friends 3 times throughout my life. Because when I say we moved far away. So far, indeed, that, me as a child, I would have no actual way of meeting up with my old friends. And so this essentially caused me to realize, the only stable thing in my life right now are video games. And I'm not going to blame my parents for this because, it is what it is. But I definitely see that my usage of video games in general was mostly a coping net. Because like, when I was a young kid, like say maybe 4 or 5 years old, whatever, I was in Lisbon, which is the capital of Portugal. We were in like this neighborhood called, for those of you that are from Portugal, it was in Alcântara, a place called Rua da Cruz, and which is the cross street. And it's interesting because this was like in the middle of this this really big road. I don't actually know the name of that in English, but it's not just it was like a road where people go fast. It's not a highway, but it's a place where people go really fast, right? So there's a street in one side, which is the street that I was in, and then there's a street on the other side of the road, which was called Casal Ventoso, and this is where they would sell all the drugs. This is where I lived when I was at my youngest. It was like right near one of the biggest drug centers of Lisbon, where they would sell all kinds of drugs and stuff like that, right? And so I lived there for a while, and then my parents moved to one of the best places in the entirety of Portugal, which is a place called Subreda, which is near a beach area in Portugal, which is called Costa da Caparica. And then I lived there for a couple of years. So, I had friends in Lisbon, and then eventually I fell out of touch with most of my friends from Lisbon when I moved to Subreda. And then I, awkwardly remade a circle of friends in Subreda among like the neighbors that I would have and whatnot. And, I was always someone who was always looking to make friends. I wasn't like an introvert, but I wasn't actually extrovert either, but I was always trying to make friends so that I would have, friends that would have the same interests as I had so that we could play and do shit. Right. So in Subreda, I kind of like remade my circle of friends, and then they moved to this other place, which is where I am right now, which is Palmela. And that was like so far away of the other 2 places that I was like, okay, I guess I have to do all of this again. And yeah, it didn't work out because the place that we lived in was actually far away from the place that I would go to school. And I had no friends next to my house. There was nobody. There's literally nobody. And I was like, well, okay, I guess video games it is. And then my parents would tell me, why don't you go outside and play? And I'm like, yeah, Dad, I can't wait to go outside and play alone. So fucking fun. Just go outside and play. And I'm like, yeah, sure. Go outside and ride your bike. Yeah, it's great, Dad. I'll go ride my bike alone. It's great. I love it. And so, yeah, that's why I ended up playing a lot of video games. Coping
trying to
mechanism.
fight off each other, and it results in this real big messy situation where
Hey, Catnip.
no one can sit down and go, okay, what's the actual problem and how do we deal with it? And that's the problem here. Like,
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of this just comes down to leadership. And when you think about the role of a parent, it is a leadership role.
Yeah.
And
It is.
it's not about just being like, child, you are playing too much Fortnite. I, the parent, say no, and I take your router. Of course, completely
Yeah,
not
it's
knowing
that
the
simple.
kid's just going to use the 4G hotspot on their phone to play Fortnite. That's not the role of a good leader. That's not how a good leader
Yeah,
deals
you
with
should
problem.
incentivize him.
You know, a good leader is going to think,
incentivize the child
how
to
can
other interests.
I raise up the troops, elevate the troops, provide them with a situation for success? Now, it's really hard when you are dealing with a child, because how a child is going to interact with these systems is very different from an adult, because there's literally parts of the brain haven't developed yet. What I would say is where we need to go with this is radically thinking about, and I don't want to get too big into this, but education and just what the role of parents in the modern era. Because I think right now we have a situation where, look, let's just say we zoom ahead and somehow the two of us have kids. Now, we are going to very much know the shit those kids are going to be dealing with. Not all of it, because I'm sure technology will escape us at some point, but we're going to get it. We're going to basically get it. Now, you've got a whole bunch of people who did not grow up with any of this shit, who do not understand it. You know, you've got people who, like, I mean, we've all seen, right? Even the people who are, you know, in their sort of 30s and 40s who just missed out and basically can't use a fucking computer. That's most of the parents. So what we need to do is work out, not from a top-down level, there could be some rules for that, from a bottom-up level, how we deal with this shit, how we lead children to be able to deal with these things in a more positive way, where it doesn't just feel like someone is appearing with a PowerPoint presentation to them, in a way that they can actually engage the kids. And I think that's basic.
And as someone that has a college degree, I can tell you right now that the education system in my country, personally, is completely and utterly fucked. It is pretty much worthless. And it's actually disgusting, and it makes me scared for my children, because the amount of people that are in education roles in Portugal that do not belong anywhere near the minds of our children is staggering. And the worst part is, in my personal experience, the actual people that are interested in teaching young kids skills that are actually useful for them in life, those people get shut down. You want to know why? Because they're not following the educational program that's been established. And that makes me fucking sick. Because, like, they established this program, this educational program, this fucking thing that's supposed to just, like, mold your children into fucking, you know, just like the song. It's another brick on the fucking wall. They're just molding your children to be bricks on a fucking wall. And whenever a teacher comes out that actually challenges these concepts, every single time that I've experienced one of those teachers that actually taught me shit that I use to this fucking day, they fucking run them out. They run them out of the system. They get rid of them. They get rid of them as fast as they possibly can. Like, I had a history teacher that was actually able to get me to care about history. Okay? I had a history teacher that actually got me to care about history, which I never gave two shits about history. This teacher knew how to engage students. You know what they did to her? After that one school year that I became very interested in history, the next school year, I found her working at a fucking cashier, as a cashier at the local supermarket. That's what they fucking did to her. The other teacher that I had that taught me shit that I actually cared about, I'm not going to tell that story again because I've told it a million times. This teacher that basically said, here's the program. This fucking sucks. I'm going to teach you guys something else. That teacher that taught me shit that I use to this fucking day, never saw him again my whole life. He did 1 year, kicked his ass out of the school. And so it's like, when I'm telling you, as someone that has a college degree, that there's a serious fucking problem in education, this isn't just me talking out of my fucking ass. This is me as someone that's actually experienced this shit from top to bottom. This is me as someone that at one point in my life, I put down answers in a test that I knew were wrong, okay, that I actually researched and knew were factually wrong. And I put those answers in there because I knew that's what the teacher wanted to hear. That is the education system of Portugal. And I'm pretty sure that it's probably even worse in America, and it's probably even worse in other countries throughout the world. It's fucking disgusting. But the thing is, the government doesn't actually want our children to know how to fucking think. Because if our children knew how to fucking think, they'd look at the shit the government does and they'd be like, hey, what the fuck? What do you mean? What do you mean you guys did this? You guys bailed out how many fucking companies? Excuse me? You're using my taxpayer money to do what? No, they want us to be fucking dumb. They want us to be dumb, subservient pieces of shit. That's what we're here for. That's what we're here for. And that's why we're going to continue to have a problem in education forever. And it's going to get worse because they want to progressively make everyone in the fucking world dumber so that you can't actually fight back because you don't even know how.
Basically the thing, these companies and all these games, they're way better at engaging kids than most of the traditional shit because that's not leveled up. That's not really leveled up to get an understanding of how things are in the modern era. I think for a lot of parents, it's like that. That means the parents can't deal with these situations. It basically means the parents can't sort of, I guess, preempt issues with leadership. They just deal with the symptoms once the problem has taken root. That's maybe why we have so many problems like this.
Yeah, because I mean, I guess the problem would, and this is entirely speculative because I don't know Abby Silver's story, but I can imagine the story pretty handily through what I understand about people in games and whatnot. But there's a decent chance that her kid started playing a load of Fortnite for some reason, some external reason that wasn't, maybe Fortnite's just good as fuck. Like, maybe actually started because he enjoyed it, started it for playing it for friends, but then maybe there's external factors kicked in. Maybe wasn't having a great time at school, stayed up late to play Fortnite because he didn't want to go to school the next day.
Yeah.
Even simple things like that, where the kid's not going to communicate that very well because they might not even know it.
Mm-hmm.
Because, even adults can't be introspective sometimes. Never mind a kid who's just, working off nebulous feelings that they don't quite know.
Yeah.
And then, Abby's going to come in after reading for like 6 to 12 hours, not really have the time or patience, and go, stop playing the fucking game. Get off Fortnite, you little bastard.
Maybe not like that. But
maybe
I
not.
I do.
Yeah.
We've all been in the situation of, right? Many of us have playing too much games. The parents being like, would you get off that fucking computer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. I think it's realistic. I'm not saying like, I mean, to be fair, I don't think it's a bad thing if you call your kid a little bastard. If it's a teenager and understands the connotation, I think that's fine.
Sure.
I think that's fine. But this idea of just, dealing with a symptom, not the root of the problem, not understanding the mechanics of how the root can turn into the symptom, where Fortnite's a problem, it's not that, the kid doesn't have the best way of, best outlet for what's affecting them in life. So it's stuff like that where I think that like as to whether are these concerns actually valid? Absolutely yes. I think the concerns are valid because life's really hard. Gaming's not that hard.
Yeah.
And I think that's the problem where people see everyone playing video games loads and be like, well, this is clearly a fucking problem. But it's just it's not the problem that it's not the problem that games are so good, it's that life's so bad by comparison. And that's what needs fixed, because if people live decent balanced lives, they will more like
Pretty much. I completely agree.
likely than not gravitate towards some form of healthy balance.
Yes, just that our society right now is, I put it this way. Was it the Pentium 4 that people went insane overclocking? Did they get up to like 9?
Something like
3
that.
or 4, like they got up to like 9 gigahertz or something crazy with liquid nitrogen.
Something like
But basically, that's us now.
Mm.
That is all of society. We are all being assaulted for engagement and attention.
Yeah.
And I think that I wouldn't be surprised if cognitively we're just going to end up like an overused CPU, more prone to failure. We need to solve that problem. And it's not just games. It's not just Fortnite. It is absolutely everything going on in modern society. And if we just get lost in the weeds of a tiny specific thing like this,
Yeah.
we're going to not realize that this is a foundational principle, a foundational problem. And that is why it needs a robust bottom-up cultural and societal answer,
Yep.
rather than just, we're going to take away your video games because there's too many problems.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing I have done here in this document, where these concerns are valid because gaming's highly addictive. Everything that's like positive emotion and gives us happy brain chemistry is just good.
Yeah.
And we live in, we're not exactly post-scarcity, but for a lot of the Western world, we kind of feel that way, where, even someone who's not that far above the breadline will have ways to access extreme amounts of comfort. And that results in, the obesity levels going up like crazy because people just, they have access to good food all the time that just fucks with their brain consistently. And video games are kind of the same. But the solution isn't, oh, well, video games are clearly the problem, because that's not the problem. It's not, like, even ignoring all
It's
of the
life
things that video games
balance.
can do and all the things they have, even just going back to the fact they're just fun. It's like, you're going to ban that, and then when everyone's watching TV instead of playing games, you ban the TV. And then people are listening to music instead of watching TV, you'll ban the music. And then no one has anything good left, and the life's just a nightmare.
Yeah. Like I've been in that situation where, IRL shit has been hard to the point where I've barely had the energy to play games.
Yeah.
It's that weird thing of like, let's just say there's a really, a tough movie that demands your attention, but is really good, but you're like too tired and you won't be able to appreciate it properly.
Yeah.
I've got to that stage in a few instances, which has just led to me just, I'm on the sofa just like, it's like, no wonder my fucking neck's sore. I can tell you for a fact, I would have got, if that time was playing video games, I would have got more out of it.
Yep.
Because did I have bad posture? Yes. Did I have bad this, bad that? Yes, yes, yes. Bad diet? Yes, yes, yes. If I had all of those things, but I was doing video games instead of being a slob, at least I would have got a bit more social engagement. I would have been actively thinking about more things, and that probably would have been better than the alternative. So yeah, even if you remove video games, we still have issues.
Yeah, I mean, that's
there you
what
go.
I think. I think that gaming is generally unfairly stigmatized because it's gaming. Because it's new, people don't understand it as much, because it has that like child-oriented bent from it being introduced as, here's Mario, here's Sonic, here's all the kid stuff. I feel like it is unfairly stigmatized versus other forms of what I'm going to call brain-jacking nightmares that the world has deigned upon us. Video games are a pretty good version of that, but they're really stigmatized, especially I find I think less so in the US, like very publicly these days, but all of the big news stories have been coming from the UK, where the UK is the stuff where some of it might be the FIFA Ultimate Team because of the gambling stuff, but it's also just the Fortnite issues in the UK. And I think these stories are generally picked up and circulated around the UK more anyway,
Well,
for whatever cultural reason.
there's a
but-
few reasons. Like, I think the UK was very ahead of the times.
Good God,
in
give me that
having a
FIFA footage out
vicious
of
and
here.
horrible tabloid news
Please
sector.
stop.
That is one thing.
Yeah.
And I think that perhaps just means that there's a lot more, societal panic can happen in some
Yeah.
ways. So I think that could be a part of it.
Hmm.
And there's even things like the porn regulations that happened, with the government, which a bunch of people were like, hello?
Wait, porn is regulated in the UK? MHK, FIFA is huge in Portugal as well. FIFA is probably, outside of like Fortnite and Minecraft, it's probably the biggest thing in Portugal. It was going to be, but they dropped it. Oh, man. At least let people fucking jerk off. Jesus Christ, dude. With all these fucking restrictions, imagine during a pandemic, government goes, you can't even jerk off anymore. Stay in your home and keep your hands to yourself. Don't you fucking be playing with your pee-pee now.
What? That's like one example. So there's like a little bit more of that. I think America just has some, for good and ill, sort of differences in foundational opinion and things like regulation and stuff. So it's hard to say why exactly it comes from the UK.
Yeah, but I'm trying to think of like the solutions obviously aren't just banning shit. That's never worked for anyone. Maybe short term, sure, but long term, no. I mean, the thing is, you want to educate people, you want to train people, you want to have everyone feeling more culturally responsible for themselves and for each other, and fundamentally, you want better parenting. But it's like, it's the thing that, Abby's
and
response
better,
and the general response, I
education.
think, in the UK is to run to the government for solutions, because people can't solve things. It's like, you go to the council, they don't do shit. You go to the press. You go to the press because that's where you get the most noise. You'll maybe make a bit of money on the side from selling your book. And also you'll maybe get this to, that's how the government take notice, because
imagine
the government's so tied to
trading
the press
away
cycle.
all of your
They're
freedoms.
watching a lot of the
in
things.
order-
But it's like, this isn't a government problem. At least not by just saying, no, you're not allowed to do this thing anymore.
Yes,
It's
please,
the kind of thing where
regulate gaming.
you can't keep your citizens in a bubble and protect them from all the bad things that could happen, because then all it takes is one bad thing to get through the cracks. All it takes is, one opioid crisis in the US or one, gaming pandemic in the UK, and suddenly your culture's completely wiped out and your citizens are, they're not trained to defend against this stuff. So the point is, you have to make your citizens empowered. You have to give them the strength and the understanding of, you speak to someone as a kid, even in school, maybe it's...
Imagine 10 years from now, you're like, you pull out like a Nintendo Switch. You're just like in a corner. You're looking at everybody. Like you're in this dark alley and you're like, oh man, play some fucking Mario Odyssey in this bitch. And a fucking police officer's up. Excuse me, sir, what do you think you're doing? And it's like, oh, nothing. Trying to like hide a Nintendo Switch away. That's where we're headed with people like this.
Like, teachers are going, all right, everyone playing video games, yeah, try not to play too much, instead of going home and playing Fortnite, we'll do something constructive at school one evening a week, that kind of thing. It's those programs and those things that I think can actually help in long term. They have problems, but
I'd even say, think about this. In school is so fucking prescriptive.
Yeah.
There's a curriculum. It doesn't matter if you're interested in it or not. You have to do it.
Yeah.
Put it this way. There are ways where I basically know that if I had a way to leave
Yes, I
school
have
at 14,
VGM Gamer.
most of my life would actually be better. I am more interested in many of the subjects that I did at school now than I was at school, because I'm doing them in my way.
Yeah.
And it's just that thing where I think, at least for the education system that we experienced, and the Northern Irish one is supposedly the best in the UK.
wild.
Which is insane to me. And apparently that puts us as being like better than the US and a whole bunch of other big countries too, which, if true, is horrifying.
I'm so sorry, everyone.
Yeah.
But like ours was just so... You must learn the facts and figures. Independent thought, not particularly useful, because I, the teacher, need to get a certain pass rate for my class.
Yeah.
So if you are in this super linear kind of world as a kid, of course, when you go home, you're not going to be trained to be thinking for yourself and stuff. And you then apply that to the attention economy. Of course, some big digital claw machine is going to come down from the ceiling or come out of your computer and grab you and take you in.
Yep.
Because we're not making strong populaces.
No.
Because basically, Everybody is doing their own small short-term incentive, and that means that we're basically not aligned towards the overall greater thing. And I think that does fold. Now that the pseudo philosophy bullshit's over, it all folds back into the games industry in a pretty obvious way.
Yep.
So there you go. I think we've rambled on for quite a while on this.
Certainly have.
Any final words, or should we wrap this baby up?
I think the only thing I could say is video games aren't bad. People abusing video games is the problem. And that's a problem that needs solved with empathy and not with video games bad. Ah!
Yeah. That's it. That is the take. And that is it for this video. Hope you found it interesting. Let us know what you think. And certainly if you have had any gaming addiction issues within your family or circle of friends, what was the way out of that? And do you have any examples in your own life, maybe parents, your parents, friends' parents, who have been able to equip their kids well to deal with games? And what did that actually look like? So let us know. Thank you for listening. See you next time.
My parents did not equip me well at all. I was just like gaming in secret. They'd be asleep and I'd be gaming. Dude, I was going to get my gaming on. It is what it is. But it's like, it's all about being in tune with the problems. Like, what is the problem? Like, I will go to my kid repeatedly and go like, why would you do this? Why did you do this thing? And you have to dig and dig and dig and dig and dig until you get to the root cause of why your children would do something. And then, you know, if they're gaming too much, you have to keep digging and digging and digging. Instead of asking a regulatory body of the government to come over and go like, hey, why don't you go ahead and limit the amount of time that kids can play video games? Hey, while you're at it, why don't you come over and limit the amount of times people can have sex? Why not? Might as well. Limit the amount of times people can watch television, listen to the radio, listen to music. Why don't you come and just like, you know, tell us exactly how to fucking live? Enjoy your freedoms, people. It's nice. It's nice to be able to choose to do one thing or the other instead of having the state actually tell you what you should do. I swear, people like this are so fucking dumb, it makes my skin crawl.